The eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo, particularly the Kivu provinces, has long been a hotbed of conflict. The DRC is rich in minerals like cobalt and coltan, which are vital resources used in electronics and batteries, making it one of the most valuable regions in the world. However, this wealth has also made it a target for armed groups, local militias, and foreign interests. At the center of the current violence is the M23 rebel group. Composed largely of ethnic Tutsi fighters, the group emerged in 2012 after former fighters from the National Congress for the Defense of the People rebelled against the Congolese government, accusing it of failing to implement the 2009 peace agreement. This agreement was meant to integrate Tutsi fighters into the national army, protect ethnic minorities, and ensure equitable distribution of resources in the region. When the government failed to follow through, M23 was born, and the group has since become one of the most persistent threats in eastern DRC. Recently, the M23 has taken control of key territories, heightening tensions in the region. The DRC government has accused neighboring Rwanda of supporting the rebels, providing them with weapons and military backing, allegations that Rwanda has repeatedly denied. Despite the denials, these accusations have worsened diplomatic relations between the two countries and have made the international community take notice.
What do we want to do?
The involvement of Rwanda in the conflict is tied to both security concerns and access to the DRC's valuable resources. Rwanda fears the presence of Hutu militias in eastern DRC, militias responsible for the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, and sees the M23 as an ally in weakening these groups. Rwanda's role has sparked a backlash, especially from South Africa, which has deployed troops as part of the United Nations peacekeeping mission. Just last week, 13 South African peacekeepers and 3 from Malawi were killed in clashes with the M23 rebels. According to law and governance expert Philip Mwangale, these deaths have intensified calls for a ceasefire and greater international intervention.
So M23 is about nationalization of the Tutsi-speaking Congolese in eastern DRC. It's just that it's a political question, and one that has, been escaped by succeeding presidents after Laurent Kabila and the East African community at large. The minerals have very little to do with the conflict in DRC. I've mentioned the nationalization interests of the M23 and the Tutsi-speaking Congolese. We must also note that you have over 50 fighting groups in eastern DRC.
The pressure is mounting as the East African Community and South African Development Community both held emergency meetings in the past week. The SADC summit, chaired by Zimbabwe's president, underscored the growing regional instability and emphasized the bloc's commitment to peace in the region. But the path to peace is complicated, with M23 demanding greater autonomy for Tutsis in the region, while the DRC government and its international partners continue to push for the rebels' disbandment.
President Paul Kagame of Rwanda has come out clear. He hasn't minced his words. He has not, maintained the covers that we are used to seeing presidents have. He has called out President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. He has called out Tshisekedi, president of DRC, and he has called out the peace processes that have been in motion. The only thing that has achieved is that it has now brought certain sympathies to Paul Kagame, because he has come out clear saying certain people, certain presidents are pretenders. They were not for the process. They were there to earn a name. The other thing it has succeeded in doing is it has made the world, and more so the rest of the continent, become more aware of the conflict in DRC. We are not just seeing these things happening today. Congo has lost close to 5 million people since 1997 in this conflict. So that is a very huge number, and it is good that the meetings between the heads of state have pointed us to the very issue.
Amid the violence, the humanitarian situation continues to worsen. Millions of people have been displaced by the fighting, with little to no access to food, shelter, or medical aid. The situation has placed immense pressure on international aid organizations and has further exacerbated the suffering of civilians caught in the crossfire. Experts warn that unless political stability is restored, the crisis will continue to spiral out of control and lasting peace will remain out of reach.
Recognizing the minority Tutsis in the DRC, as simple as that, and reintegrating the M23 back into the DRC defense forces. That was on the table in 2000 when Loro, Kabila, and Kagame and Museveni were at the table. That has been on the table with the Nairobi and Luanda processes. It is just a matter of implementation. So unless the rest of the DRC wants to annihilate the minority Tutsis in Eastern DRC, that would be the easiest solution. And M23 has expressed willingness to quickly cede ground if that very simple demand was met.
The conflicts in the eastern parts of the DRC persist, deepening the humanitarian crisis and leaving millions in limbo. Despite regional efforts, lasting peace remains uncertain. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.